Hello, welcome to FTC 16953 CAD YouTube tutorial videos, a series where we will be guiding you through Fusion 360 presented by Autodesk. My name is Brian Simple. I am the head of CAD on the US side of Fire Team. If you have not yet created an Autodesk account or have installed the Education Edition of Fusion 360, check the description below for a step-by-step tutorial on getting started. There you will find how to set up your account as well as some background information. In this installation, we will begin with the layout of Fusion 360 and everything it has to offer. Let's get started. Once you've logged on to Fusion 360 and you've logged in, you'll be redirected to a design workspace. This is where most of your CAD and CAM design is going to happen and take place. In the top right corner, we have our account where we can set our preferences. We can upgrade from an educational or hobbyist to a professional version. We have our help bar where we can ask simple questions and a computer automated response will come back to us, or it'll redirect us to one of the discussion forums on Autodesk. And we have our job status. Job status is very helpful when we have imported and exported files where we can see the progression of the file and seeing how close it is to being complete. In addition to that, we also have our extension where we can add extensions. In the Education Edition, everything that we would need is granted to us, but on the Hobbyist Professional Edition, you're going to have to buy extensions with credits. Right next to that, you have the New Design tab where you can add new designs to as many as you need. Let's take a look further into our design workspace. In the top right corner of the design workspace, we have our views. So, for example, currently we are in the home view. Usually by default, it's going to show us our front, top, and right view. We can change our view setting depending on which one we want to see by clicking on that face. So for example, let's go to our front view. It's going to show us the front of our design. Go to the top, it's going to show us the top of the design. It's going to show us the right design, and it gives us the ability to look at our design from different perspectives and views. If we want to go back to that original view, our home view, it's very simple. Go ahead and click on that home icon. You can change your home view and the different faces very simply by right-clicking and changing respectively. So for example, if we wanted to change to our top view, and now we want to make this our front view, we would just go to our top view, right-click, and set the current view as front. So now what used to be our top view has now become our front view. What was our front view has now become our bottom view, and our right view has stayed the same. Let's go ahead and change that back. In addition to using our cube in the top right corner, we can also change to the name views under the file specifications. So under the named view folder, we can go to our front view, our right view, our top view, and our home view to name a few. If you notice, when using the name views, it always orients your view so that top is always in front of you, compared to on our cube on the right, it would always just show us what face, and we would have to manually reset top to be above us. Next to name view, we have our document settings. This allows us to change our units from metric to imperial and vice versa. We also have our origin. If you were to imagine your workspace as an X and Y grid, we have our origin and our three axes, the X, the Y, and the Z, with their respective planes, such as, for example, XY, XZ, and YZ. And this allows us to orient ourselves when we're doing our drawings. Let's take a look at the bottom of our workspace. We have what's called the design history. So for example, if we were working in version 1 and we realized that we had made a mistake, instead of undoing all of our changes, we can take our cursor, move it back to the location of the mistake, make the change, and instead of having to now redo everything that we had undone, we can just move our cursor back to where it was, and everything has stayed the same. Just note that if you make it a change where another element already exists, there's a very high chance, most likely, the elements will not be compatible and the previous element will be deleted. On our top ribbon next to our design workspace, we have 4 different ribbons: the saw ribbon, the surface ribbon, the sheet metal ribbon, and the tools ribbon. We can use these specifically, and we'll get into how to use them more in our tutorial videos. Going back down again to our bottom of our workspace, we have different elements. So for example, there is a shortcut where you press the shift and the scroll key, and you're able to orbit your drawing. However, if you don't remember or you don't have the ability to do so, you can click on the orbit key, and now you're able to orbit your drawing freely. If you want to, for example, look at a specific view, you could do so, and such, or a specific face. If you wanted to pan your drawing instead of using the shortcut, you can. And instead of using the shortcut for what would have been zoom in and out, you can press that. And same works here with the zoom fit. It takes your drawing and maximizes its view in your workspace. Next to that, we have our display settings. These are now for a personal preference. These don't affect the drawing. You can change the environment, so the background, the environment in the background, so how it looks aesthetically to you. It won't change the actual color of your drawing. There's a key you'd have to hit and settings you have to go to change the appearance of your drawing. You're also able to change the visual style. So for example, I'm currently with shaded and visual edge only. You can turn into a wireframe, and again, that's personal preference, and it's dependent on you. Next to that, we have our grid. You can, as you notice, I don't have a grid at the moment, but I can always have one laid out at all times. And again, these are all personal preferences. And viewports. Viewports takes the job of our multi-view drawing that we would do by hand, and takes the same layout. So it's calculated so that by moving one, you're moving the others respectively, and the isometric is independent. On our Fusion screen, let's go to the top left corner to open up our data panel. Here it shows us all our projects, libraries, and samples. When you first open up Fusion 360 and you have started any projects prior to this, you're going to only have the default project, the libraries, and the samples. Samples are provided to us by Autodesk to help learn Fusion 360 and its software and components. Libraries can be downloaded from GitHub, GrabCAD, Autodesk, and Fusion 360 and help you aid you with your CAD drawings. Until you make a project, anytime you save a design, and schematics, everything will be populated in the default project. Let's go ahead and now make a new project. Let's go ahead and call it Project 1. On creation of Project 1, it's going to bring it down to the bottom of all of our projects. We can change this by quickly pinning our project and giving us easier access to our project. On the main data panel, we can also look for specific elements or specific drawings by looking at this magnifying button. By searching it, we can look at different drawings. So for example, by using the keyword tooth, this panel will be populated with all drawings that I have that have the keyword tooth in it. If I want to refine my search, I can click this drop down and search within specific projects. Let's take a look at Project 1. We just created it, so there's nothing in it, but we can always add more folders. Folders are a great tool for keeping your workspace organized. Let's call this folder 1. When you have a organized workspace, you're not spending as much time looking for specific drawings, so you're more efficient. There's no limit on how many folders you can put within a folder, say folder 2, and we can keep going on and on. We can move back within our project by hitting on the names of our elements. Within folders or project, we can save drawings. Let's go ahead and save this one. Let's call it item 1. Before we go any further, let's look at a previous project that I have and see how folders are helpful folders can be. So this is our last year's season on robotics, and for our full robot, we had different sections and different components. So each folder was populated with different folders that helped us keep ourselves organized, and so it wasn't as much of a mess. When we make a save and add items to our project, a few things are going to come up. We have the name, the workspace, the time, in the version. Starting with the name, this helps us differentiate it between one object and another. We have the workspace. Fusion 360 allows us to have access to multiple workspaces. For example, a design workspace, a render, an animation, simulation, manufacturing, and drawing. For our tutorials, we'll be focusing mostly with design and drawing, but we'll get into a bit of rendering, animation, and the others in the more advanced lessons. This timestamp allows you to know when your object was saved, so you know how far back it was. Version control. Most softwares have a version of this. Version 1, by clicking on this dropdown, if we're, let's say, in version 10, and we realize we made a mistake or an error in version 3, by clicking this dropdown, we could go to version 3, make the change, similar how we were able to do within the specific version on our design history tab. Now, if you look at carefully, we have an Earth icon. By clicking on it, brings us to our Internet Fusion 360. This is easier to use for organizing mass projects. So personally, I use it when I'm organizing multiple files at once, or I'm working with with administration and team members within my projects. So clicking on a project, you can always add projects members to your project, giving them a role and such forth. You're also able to add wiki pages and so on. You can also add people to your projects on the actual Fusion app by clicking on people and adding their email. If we want to add more files, we can go to this file, click down. This gives us the ability to start a new drawing from a design, open files, print them, and do multiple tasks. We have the ability in Fusion 360 to add comments to specific versions. So for example, if I said, "Good job with design," simple post, and it tells us which version it's referencing to, and if I can reply to the comment, and so on and so forth. So when you have multiple team members working on a single project, and you don't have communication with them, these comments are very helpful for telling where we have issues and so forth. Yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me for our first video. Please leave a like and subscribe below. If you have any questions, leave a comment and we'll get back to you. Please consider looking at our other YouTube videos and our other tutorials. We have some with code building and disassembly of Finder printers, FlashForge printers. Join us next time where we'll talk about the solid ribbon and how to use the components within. Thank you and have a good day.